This episode is brought to you by Google Gemini. With the Gemini app, you can talk live and have a real-time conversation with an AI assistant. It's great for all kinds of things, like if you want to practice for an upcoming interview, ask for advice on things to do in a new city, or brainstorm creative ideas. And by the way, this script was actually read by Gemini. Download the Gemini app for iOS and Android today. Must be 18 plus to use Gemini Live.
70,000 people are here, and Bob Dylan is the reason for it.
Inspired by the true story.
For anyone who's gonna hold your attention on a stage, you have to kind of be a freak.
Are you a freak?
Hope so.
And starring Timothée Chalamet as Bob Dylan. He defied everyone.
Turn it down!
Play loud!
To change everything.
Make some noise, BD.
Timothée Chalamet, Edward Norton, Elle Fanning, Monica Barbaro, a complete unknown. Now playing only in theaters. Rated R, under 17, not admitted without parent.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Upgrade your business with Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning fewer carts going abandoned and more sales going cha-ching. So if you're into growing your business, get a commerce platform that's ready to sell wherever your customers are. Visit shopify.com to upgrade your selling today.
Welcome to My Weekly Mixtape, a podcast that takes the classic mixtape approach to building a modern playlist. I'm your host, Brian Colburn. Joining me once again as guest curator is frequent guest and fellow Pantheon Podcast Network mate, Jason Whissell, host of the It's Not That Bad and There Can Only Be One podcasts. Jason, welcome back, my friend.
Hi. Sorry, I was keeping it short.
I see what you did there.
Right.
Well, I finally reached episode 99 of My Weekly Mixtape, and it's kind of feeling like the end of a cassette side because next week, episode 100 drops, and with that, the show officially enters into the triple digits. So I should start by saying if you've listened to even one of those 99 episodes, thank you. But with all that said, earlier this fall, I had posted up to the My Weekly Mixtape Patreon site the first ever episode of my first ever podcast, Tune Styles, which features frequent collaborator here on My Weekly Mixtape, Jay Sweet. And we talked about, go figure, the lost art of the mixtape. And in that episode, we discussed the end of side filler songs. Meaning if you had a little bit of tape left at the end of a cassette side and you weren't 100% sure you had enough room for a full song, you needed to fill that time while making sure the song didn't get cut off mid-guitar solo. So with that, I thought it would be fun as my last double-digit episode to come up with a playlist that featured those type of songs. So for me, my bank of tracks wrote itself instantly. Jason, did you run into a similar situation on your end?
See, I got the wrong memo. I heard episode 99 and I tried to find every song about Wayne Gretzky that I possibly could. And I might have the wrong song. No. In all honesty, this is a fun one because I listen to a lot of comedy music. I listen to a lot of punk. And there's a lot just in those two genres alone that have songs that are brief, if you will. And you can't go wrong. Like, I'll admit, I never sat there and timed out and did the math as far as songs on a mixtape went. I was getting to the point where I could take a look at how much of the actual tape was left on the spool and sit there and go, that looks like about 2.5 minutes. I think I can put this song in, which tells me I made far too many mixtapes in my day. But still, you always had to have something in your bank. And maybe this kind of fits as well into, you'll probably relate to this. Playing in a band, you sit there and you try to figure out how many songs you can fit into a 45-minute set or an hour-long set. And the worst part is when you're sitting there playing a New Year's Eve show and you realize that you have about 2 minutes until you have to start the countdown to New Year's Eve. And you sit there and go, do we have a song that fits in that? We did it once. We played Hash Pipe, but we played it at like triple speed. I can't believe my fingers were moving that fast. And at this point, the audience is looking at us like, are they on cocaine? Because I'm starting to think that they're on cocaine. But no, it's, you have to have some of those short songs in the bank in case you need to fill out just a little bit.
Well, I'm going to venture to guess that this might be one of, if not the shortest playlist in My Weekly Mixtape history. Jason, do you think that tonight you and I can keep this playlist below 30 minutes for all 20 songs?
I think we're going to have to call this the anti-Sean Faust list because, as you know, Sean, who has been on both of our shows, has a penchant for long songs to the point where, if I remember correctly, when he was on There Can Only Be One doing the Dream Theater episode, his playlist from that episode equaled close to 3 hours long. So there were some long songs. And for the record, Brian would not let me put The Whirlwind by Transatlantic on this cassette, seeing how it clocks in at about 75 minutes.
Well, since you answered it that way, let's see how short we could keep our short songs playlist tonight. I'm going to keep track of the times of these songs as we go through, and we're going to see how long tonight's playlist is. So with that said, let's get down to business. Tonight, as I mentioned at the top of the show, Jason and I will be curating the ultimate short songs mixtape, and we'll use the old cassette deck approach. Jason, as my special guest, will begin side A with his first song choice, and then I'll add a song that I feel best follows up that choice. We'll then flip-flop choosing songs until we've mapped out 10 songs for side A. We'll then give our mixtape a proverbial flip, and we'll map out side B, only this time I'll kick things off with Jason choosing second. Our overall goal for this episode is to craft the best and possibly shortest short songs mixtape possible through only 20 songs. At the end of the show, you could take our conversation to the next level by visiting the episode page at myweeklymixtape.com to give our final mixtape a listen via the embedded playlist. And if you like what you're hearing on the show, you can help me out by either telling a friend, leaving the show a 5-star review wherever you're tuning in, or becoming a Patreon mixtaper at patreon.com/myweeklymixtape. There you can find ad-free episodes of the show, gain early access to future My Weekly Mixtape episodes, chime in on upcoming topics, become a future guest, and so much more. And a few of the Patreon mixtapers chimed in with songs they would use to kick things off tonight, and I want to give a shout out to a few of those. Chad Lamassa chimed in with the Red Hot Chili Peppers' Pretty Little Ditty. The original, which appeared on Mother's Milk, clocks in at 1:35, although if you're listening on streaming, you're going to get the 2003 remastered version, which clocks in at 3:07, which kind of takes us out of the short songs list, but I know where Chad was going with this, going with the 135 original, and yes, I did look all of these up. Tom Hutchinson chimed in with Agent Orange's Bloodstains, which clocked in at 2 minutes and 6 seconds. Jimmy Mitchell chimed in with The Letter by the Box Tops. That song clocks in at 1 minute and 52 seconds. Seeker chimed in with the Pixies' Broken Face, which clocks in at 90 seconds. Mike Daly chimed in with the intro to Van Halen's Little Guitars, clocking in at 42 seconds. Sean Goff chimed in with the White Stripes' Little Room, which clocks in at 50 seconds. Philip Bergman chimed in with Weird Al Yankovic's Harvey the Wonder Hamster, which clocks in at 21 seconds, and Monty Python's I Bet You Won't Play This Song on the Radio, which clocks in at 55 seconds. Christopher Style chimed in with 2 songs from TNT, Sapphire, which clocks in at 1 minute and 14 seconds, and Smooth Syncopation, which clocks in at 49 seconds. And Brandon from Virginia chimed in with SOD's What's That Noise, which clocks in at 59 seconds, and Dead Kennedy's Short Songs, all 28 seconds of it. Once again, if you'd like to chime in for future My Weekly Mixtape episodes, come join the fellow mixtapers at patreon.com/myweeklymixtape.
This year, Santa's bringing the power of Energizer into his workshop.
Whoa, the Energizer Bunny's got so much power.
Wait, he's powered up all the toys. I think that means we're done for the year.
I love this bunny.
He's the hardest working helper the North Pole has ever seen. And he wants all your gifts to have the power of the #1 longest lasting AA battery. So this holiday season, stock up on Santa's and the elves' favorite battery, Energizer Ultimate Lithium.
From your fryer to the table, it's a quick trip for crispy fries. But how about a crosstown delivery? McCain SureCrisp fries are designed to go from fryer to container to carrier to passenger seat across town during rush hour down a shortcut that wasn't all that short to a doorstep before they hit the table. And that first bite, the crispiness speaks for itself. To the last bite, McCain SureCrisp fries. Go the distance. See how far our fries can take your business at surecrisp.com/delivery.
I'm James McComb, reporting live from home in my bathrobe and slippers. Tonight, we're talking Dunkin' Polar Peppermint Coffee. Gene's here with the latest. Gene, do you copy?
The home with Dunkin' is where you want to be.
So, Jason, with that said, I'm officially pressing the record button on our mixtape, and in the spirit of short songs, go.
Oh, the jokes are going to be going back and forth here, aren't they? Okay, I'm going to preface this pick knowing full well that what I'm about to say is probably going to give Brian an idea for a future episode of My Weekly Mixtape. So I'm going to tease you with a good time here. I'm just going to put it out there. But my song is basically a crime because it comes from a movie, but it never actually made the soundtrack.
Oh, I think I know where you're going.
Clocking in at 12 seconds long.
Yes!
Wiener Schnitzel by
Yes!
the Descendants.
Pump up the volume.
First of all, I love the Pump Up the Volume soundtrack. I mean, it really was so good. And maybe the best ever cover of a Leonard Cohen song, thanks to Concrete Blonde. But Descendants, Wiener Schnitzel, first of all, hilarious. But it's not on the soundtrack. Also, neither is Dad, I'm in Jail. Neither is the original, Everybody Knows, from Leonard Cohen. Neither is Love Comes in Spurts. Neither is Scenario by the Beats. You could basically have Pump Up the Volume, Volume 2, or you just, have a episode of My Weekly Mixtape of songs from movies that never made the soundtrack. Not saying, but I'm saying.
Putting a pin in that one as we speak.
Although I will say that if we ever, because, Hollywood doesn't really have original ideas, somewhere down the road, someone's going to come up with an idea of like, all right, picture it, Pump Up the Volume, a remake. But instead of like amateur radio, it's a podcaster.
I'm not going to lie. There's a small part of my childhood that probably thinks this podcast is in some way, directly or indirectly, because of the first ever Triple H character in my life. And no, I'm not talking about Hunter Hearst Helmsley from the WWE. I'm talking about Happy Harry, and you can watch the movie if you don't know what that reference is.
I can't remember what actual episode of It's Not That Bad it's on, but I remember Carrie actually watched this movie so much that she had the Eat Me, Beat Me Lady poem memorized. I don't know whether I should be impressed or scared.
I absolutely love the movie. I love the pick. It was on my list. Of course it was on my list. I actually had several Descendants songs on my list, depending on which way you went and what you started with. I had their 4-second All, or the 4-second No All, or the 17-second I Like Food, or the 34-second Coffee Mug if you wanted to bring some 90s Descendants into the fold. But instead, we kick things off tonight with the, according to Spotify here, 12 seconds long Wiener Schnitzel from 1981's Fat EP. I actually owned it on another Descendants comp that was called Two Things at Once, and it put a couple of their albums together on one. Love the pick, but damn it, you took Descendants off the table. And Descendants, if you go back and listen to that first Tune Styles episode, was definitely one that I talked about, as is this next one, because I know if I don't choose it, you will. So I got to beat you to the punch because I know you're an Anthrax fan, and no, it's not Anthrax. But I am going to go back to 1985's Speak English or Die, and I'm going to go with SOD, or the Stormtroopers of Death, Diamonds and Rust, the extended version, clocking in at 6 seconds. Now, on the original CD, the song was called Diamonds and Rust extended version. But as I'm looking right here on screen. On streaming, it's only listed as Diamonds in Rust. It says it's 6 seconds long. I think the original CD listed the track as 2 seconds long. So not only did they shorten the actual title, taking the extended version off of the song title, they tripled the length of the song. But alas, I digress. I could have went with a bunch of stuff from this album. Hey Gordy clocks in at 5 seconds long. The Ballad of Jimi Hendrix is 4 seconds long. Anti-Procrastination Song is 3 seconds long. I mean, if I had a lot of tape left at the end of the side, Jason, I could have went with Chromatic Death at 40 seconds. Or if I was making a mix for one of my buddies and I wanted to troll them at the end of the side, I'd go with Brandon from Virginia's pick and go with What's That Noise? Because you know, if my friends had the headphones cranked up and What's That Noise starts and that distortion starts ringing through the headphones, it's trolling before trolling existed. There's no way I can't go with an SOD song if we're talking short songs. So Diamonds in Rust extended version. And I talked a hell of a lot longer than the length of that song.
I mean, it's Stormtroopers of Death. You knew they were going to be on my radar. So I scooped you on Descendants. You scooped me on Stormtroopers of Death. And I'm pretty darn skippy. I'm going to scoop you on this next pick. But I'm going to take my time because this is an elongated song for what we're talking about. At 45 seconds long.
Oh, it's like a Fish song here?
Right? We're close to a Dream Theater song at this point. But I'm going with one of the best comedy metal bands out there today, Psycho Stick. With Bacon, Egg, and Cheese on Toast with Sriracha, which is arguably one of the happiest, boppiest songs they've actually done. And I guarantee you, I went through a number of Psycho Stick albums to sit there and say, come on, give me something that's under a minute. Give me something that's short. Give me Bacon, Eggs, and Cheese on Toast with Sriracha, Racha. And it's going to get stuck in your head. Like, I don't even like Sriracha, but I want a bacon egg with cheese on toast now with Sriracha because it's an earworm. And Psycho Stick is so good at this. This is one of those things where you can have a comedy group doing music, but it doesn't work unless they are musically talented. That's why Steel Panther works. That's why Spinal Tap works. And it's definitely why Psycho Stick works. And I wish that Psycho Stick was getting bigger because they deserve it. Like, I've seen them live and they are so good live. They are ridiculously talented live, and watching them as a bassist, I love them because they have phenomenal bass lines. I hate them because they're ridiculously talented and have phenomenal bass lines and I can't play them.
I mean, what can I say other than Racha, breakfast? I love the pick. That was from 2018's Do album. I actually had Dogs Like Socks from their For Revenge of the Vengeance on my list, but that one clocks in at 1:09. And that to me really just felt like I was going way off into jam band territory with a short song. But I love Psycho Stick. I love the fact you included it. And it's not the first time Psycho Stick has been discussed on a My Weekly Mixtape episode. So if you go back through the discography, maybe on one of the suggested episodes that I drop on the episode page, I'll put an episode that also features some Psycho Stick talk. Love the choice. And what I'm going to do is take Psycho Stick and go a little heavier. A lot heavier. But I'm going to stay in the 80s. And I'm going to go off of their 1987 album, Scum. And we're going to go death metal. And we're going to go with Napalm Death's You Suffer. The lyrics are, you suffer, but why? The song clocks in at 5 seconds long, but it is listed on other websites as 2 seconds long. I don't know how they crammed You Suffer, but why into this song, but when you hear it, you'll understand. It's kind of like the Micro Machine Man level of speed of delivery in death metal form. So following up Psycho Stick, Napalm Death's You Suffer.
I mean, we could keep it light. You know, we could keep it up and boppy, or we could go the other way. I like that Left Turn at Albuquerque. I do. Okay.
You don't have anything else to say about that song? I mean,
it's 6 seconds long. What are you supposed to say about 6 seconds? Whew. Okay. I see you're heavy and I match your heavy here, but I'm going to go a little bit longer. I'm going to go to 49 seconds here. So I'm just taking all the tape here. 49 seconds long. And I'm going to go with a song that with lyrics that can only be described as being written by a monkey in heat. I'm going to go with Twist by Korn. I think I broke Brian on this one here. You're now hearing it in your head.
Yeah, I'm never taking my kids to the zoo again.
Or a Korn concert for that matter.
No.
I mean, here's the thing. This second album, Life is Peachy. I mean, it's a fantastic album. And when Korn came out, it's like, oh my God, this first album is amazing. Then Life is Peachy comes out. And it took me a little bit to kind of get into it because that first album was so good. But this is not one of those sophomore slump albums. You know, going from Twist into Chai, like it is, or Chi, however you want to pronounce it. Like this is a solid freaking album. And really those first like 3-4 albums from Korn, it was hit after hit after hit after hit. But this one, and you know, you think about memorable songs from the album. You go back to the first one, you've got the one with all the nursery rhymes. And then you've got
Chutes
this.
and Ladders, yep.
Yep. And then you've got this. Also, you've got Adidas on this album. So that's going to definitely get stuck in your head. But this one, like, this is how you're introducing your album?
Album opener, thumbs up. I approve. I'm kind of disappointed as I look at the streaming site to confirm it is 49 seconds. It only has the lyrics Twist as the lyrics. I mean, how great would it be if it actually wrote out "You not oo rata dop net do rat"?
Greatest karaoke song ever.
Right?
Take that,
we got to get Ed
tequila.
Kennard on board for that one.
Can you imagine having to like transcribe that for closed captioning?
I'll be honest, I've seen Korn perform Twist several times. And besides Blind, it's, I think, the biggest song of the night, in my opinion, of every time I've seen them. There's something about that song, as silly as it is, the crowd just eats it up. Not as much as the opening ride cymbal at the beginning of Blind. That is just insanity. I've been in the pit for a Blind. It was Korn and Stained in 2000 touring together. Blind was one of the most insane pits I've ever been in my entire life. But Twist was up there. People went nuts during that one.
Yeah, Blind is one of those songs that kind of calls for the wall of death. Just ride that ride. Are you ready? And watch the people collide.
There you go. Well, I'm going to keep it heavy. And I'm going to go with, for at least with my song so far, a jammy pick at 26 seconds. But we're going to bring a little bit of that end of the era hair metal into this. And I'm going to go with Ugly Kid Joe's Heavy Metal from 1991's As Ugly as They Wanna Be. And once again, as I'm seeing here, the lyric sites are getting it, in my opinion, wrong because it lists the words heavy and metal as the lyrics, but it misses the ooh and the yeah and the Rob Halford-esque scream at the end of the song. This one ended up on so many mixtapes for me, especially because I made a lot of mixtapes of hair metal, because that's what most of my cassettes were from like 4th grade to 8th grade. So this one made a ton of them. Also at the end of a CD too, when you were burning a CD and you only had like 30 seconds left, you could fit that in there and use every last second of that burned CD. It was the perfect song to end a metal disc or a hairband disc.
You paid for the 80 minutes. You're going to burn the 80 minutes. Yeah, no, Ugly Kid Joe are great. They're fantastic. Like I still remember too, when we were talking about the Songs of 1991 episode of Playlist Wars. We're going back a few years there, aren't we?
Yeah.
About 3 years there. And the fact that that first Ugly Kid Joe EP came out in 1991 before their first full-length studio album. So we kind of mentioned that there. But yeah, you can't go wrong with Ugly Kid Joe. And I like the fact that you're kind of pulling it back a little bit from the extreme heavy of Napalm Death and Korn, because I know exactly where to go from here. And I'm going to go with a song off of one of my favorite albums from the early 90s. Off of The Lizard by Saigon Kick. I'm going to go with My Dog. So I recognize I'm taking maybe all the time here at 52 seconds long, because this is literally that transatlantic song at this point, that 52-second song. But I mean, The Lizard was such a good album, right? God of 40 Seconds Straight, the title track, Love Is on the Way, Chanel, which is just an earworm of a freaking song. But then My Dog pops on right in the middle of the album. And it's got a really cool, very almost suicidal tendencies, infectious groove kind of riff to it. And it's all about someone's dead dog. And it's sad, but happy in a way.
Odd that it's on the same album as Love Is on the Way. That's for sure. Easily, I'm going to go on a limb and say, besides Napalm Death, this might easily be the most depressing song on the playlist tonight. But a really funky groove. And I think we need a palate cleanser after this one. So what I'm going to do is, for my next pick, instead of talking about it, I'm going to perform it for you and everybody listening, if you'll allow me, Jay.
Oh, please. You got the lyric sheet printed off, right?
I hope so. So everybody, there's nothing wrong with your podcast. This isn't a glitch. I am going to perform the next song for you now. That was Bloodhound Gang's The 10 Coolest Things About New Jersey, clocking in at 10 seconds long from 1999's Hooray for Boobies. I mean, coming out of My Dog, I think 10 Seconds of Silence is kind of fitting, actually.
I mean, dear My Weekly Mixtape listeners, you have to understand, not only did Brian just perform that a cappella, but you should have seen the instrumentation that he used in performing this song. It was majesty. There was every note that you could fit in 10 seconds of silence. Really, it was the greatest performance you will never hear.
I am from New Jersey, and when I first got that CD back in the late 90s, I laughed so hard when that track came on because I expected it to be a goof song. And when it was pure silence, knowing the Bloodhound Gang is from that King of Prussia, Philly area, I laughed my ass off. And yeah, it's going to sound just as ridiculous on this playlist when people are listening to it after the show's done.
This is where you get people like sitting there looking at their Discman, looking at their phone, going, what the hell's wrong? And start like bashing it and checking their earphones and pulling the cord, putting it back in. You mentioned trolling early, and a song like that, or at least a track like that, I don't think we can really call it a song, but a track like that really does feel like one of those ultimate kind of music trolls. It's like the inside joke for a band kind of thing. It's like, oh yeah, well, we'll call it this, right? And we'll put it on there. 10 seconds, absolutely nothing, go. You've inspired me now.
Uh-oh. You
want to talk about trolls, you want to talk about bad jokes here. Bad music jokes anyways, but they're funny. So I'm going to go with 38 seconds. Let's see, I'm quicking up the pace here. You know, I went too long at 51 seconds earlier, but 38 seconds. And I'm going to go with Typo Negative's Bad Ground off of the October Rust album, which is literally 38 seconds of a bad electrical ground hum, which anyone who has worked in audio or worked in electricity knows that hum. And this is where I'm a geek. This is where I'm an absolute geek, so don't at me here. But I took the song and I put it into Audition, and I analyzed the frequency of the song to make sure that it was around the 50 to 60 hertz mark, which is where a bad ground hum would sit. And sure enough, peaking right in that 50 to 60 hertz range. And I'm just like, okay, this is hilarious. It's funny. And I can't believe I just did that. And I have way too much time on my hands.
It's typical Typo Negative fashion. I mean, this is a band that in 2007, on one of their last tours, was known to play the chicken dance before they came out on stage. To me, that is trolling your audience. To do it at the beginning of one of their seminal albums. I mean, to me, it's a dead heat between Bloody Kisses and October Rust for which album I like more. if you ever do a There Can Only Be One episode on Type O Negative, I would have such a hard time choosing between a song from one of those two albums. I'm already spoiling it, but there needs to be a Type O episode.
Well, you may have just signed yourself up for a good time there. So, 2025 kind of feels around the corner. So, we'll go there. We'll go down that road. But yeah, no, like the fact that I actually work in audio and video and I hear this song and it's just like, yeah, you got me. Because you see Type O Negative, because you know what you're getting with Type O Negative. And you see a song title called Bad Ground and you're like, ooh, this is going to be dark and heavy. And it's 38 seconds of ground hum. Bravo.
And I'm not going to lie. The first time I got this CD, I was sitting in my dorm room in North Carolina, got it the day it came out. My buddy drove me over to the Blockbuster Music, which was a record shop down in North Carolina. And I picked up the CD and we put it in. And my buddy goes, something wrong with it? I'm like, I don't know. And it was like, they got us. They got us. Bravo.
You start checking your speakers. You start checking your cables. Good one, guys. Good one.
Well, coming out of that, to close out side A, I'm finally going to sneak a cover song into the fold. And what better song to come out of Type O Negative's Bad Ground than the Blue Magoos cover of the Looney Tunes closing theme, That's All Folks, 8 seconds long, from 1967's Electric comic book, complete with the Porky Pig, that's all, folks, but not actually Porky Pig, just one of the guys in the band doing it. It's ridiculous, it's hysterical, and the fact that a band in the 1960s thought to put an 8-second cover of a Looney Tunes theme on their album is freaking brilliant.
I wonder if they do that. You have to think they close their shows with that. Like, that would be the perfect way to close your show if you've got the instrumentation for that.
Or open the show if you're Type O Negative.
Very true. Very true. It's like, that's when you get up there, you do your first song, thank you, good night, and then you just start walk to the sides. People are like, what the hell? No, you come back. May have done that. But still, I love it. And the funny thing, too, is that you see bands doing this more. Like, taking just fun, goofy songs and doing it live. Like, look at Corey Taylor. We're talking singer of Slipknot. We're talking singer of Stone Sour. Badass MF right there. And he's doing the theme song from SpongeBob SquarePants live. And the crowd goes nuts.
I showed my wife that video and she said, is he the actual singer of the... She actually looked it up on her phone. He does that convincing of a job singing it. It's a really fun... I'll embed the video over on the episode page so people can hear it.
Yeah, between Corey Taylor doing the SpongeBob SquarePants theme song and Pink appearing on the show doing the song Scurvy, they knew what they were doing.
Well, there you have it, folks. Side A of the Ultimate Short Songs Mixtape, which consists of Descendants Wiener Schnitzel clocking in at 12 seconds, SOD Diamonds and Rust extended version clocking in at 6 seconds, Psycho Stick Bacon, Egg, and Cheese on Toast with Sriracha, clocking in at 45 seconds, Napalm Death's You Suffer clocking in at 5 seconds, Korn's Twist clocking in at 49 seconds, Ugly Kid Joe's Heavy Metal clocking in at 26 seconds, Saigon Kick's My Dog clocking in at 52 seconds, Bloodhound Gang's The 10 Coolest Things About New Jersey clocking in at 10 seconds, Type O Negative's Bad Ground clocking in at 38 seconds, and the Blue Magoos, That's All Folks, clocking in at 8 seconds. Total runtime for Side A, 4 minutes, 11 seconds. Head over to myweeklymixtape.com to hear all the songs we've discussed in this mix through the playlist embedded on the episode page. Now, Jason, to start off Side B, I am going to use a song that I have actually used many a times to start off mixed cassettes, but more often mixed CDs, because in 1997, I bought the special edition soundtrack of Star Wars A New Hope. And that double CD set kicks off with John Williams' 20th Century Fox Fanfare, clocking in at 21 seconds. I started so many mixed CDs with this song because A, it's John Williams, therefore it's awesome. But B, you could literally put anything after it and it'll be badass. Hard rock, punk rock, hip hop, comedy, it all works. You can put any type of music after the 20th Century Fox fanfare, and I guarantee you it will leave people blown away as, wow, that was a really awesome way to start off a mixtape. So I'm hoping they think that as we kick off side B with it, John Williams, 20th Century Fox fanfare.
I love the pick. I freaking love the pick. I will admit that when I was looking for songs, I could not find the opening sound, I guess, from the THX sound that you hear in the theaters, like the
Yes.
Although I did find an a cappella version of that was mixed in with a couple of other things. But I was also looking for Dream Theater's version of Also Sprach Zarathustra, which they did on the Chaos in Motion DVD, but that CD does not have that track on it, even though that version of it is like over 3 minutes long because it's got the intro on there as well. So it's too long for this. 3 minutes is too long here.
That's almost as long as side A.
I know, right? Okay. So you went Star Wars. Okay. I'm going to apologize right now because you went Star Wars. You went Star Wars.
All the wars and all the stars.
Star Wars. Nothing but Star Wars. Okay. I'm going to geek out here. So bear with me here because I actually have a way to go from this song to my pick. And it's going to take a bit of a roundabout here. So going off of John Williams' composition of the Fox fanfare for Star Wars, you remember the Knights of the Old Republic video game?
Yes.
When they were promoting that game, they took out a full page ad that looked like a comic strip. Now, it's not canon. It was basically an ad, right? But it made it look like it was from part of the comics. And in this comic strip, there was a character that only ever appeared in this ad. And he had the power to control the combatants in the battle that was happening on this comic strip. That character's name is Todd. So I'm going to go with Todd from Corky and the Juice Pigs, clocking in at 13 seconds long. I got from Star Wars to a 13-second song from a Canadian comedy troupe, Todd, which is the only lyric. It's Todd. Corky and the Juice Pigs were one of those like kind of the moment Canadian comedy musical groups, kind of up there with the Arrogant Worms. Sean Cullen was a member of Corky and the Juice Pigs, and he's actually gone on to have a decent acting career. He's been in such wonderful productions as The Love Guru and Phil the Alien. Yeah, The Love Guru. I went there. But he's also been in episodes of Murdoch Mysteries. Like, he's just one of those consummate working Canadian performers. Corky and the Juice Pigs, that first album is fantastic. There's even a comedic take of a Suzanne Vega song on there, or at least what a Suzanne Vega song would sound like if a bunch of Canadians got into a studio and made one up themselves. Kind of like if AI wrote a Suzanne Vega song. That's kind of what it sounds like. But yeah, Todd, 13 seconds long out of Star Wars, thanks to Knights of the Old Republic. I am such a geek.
I only know one Todd, and it was somebody I went to grammar school with. I have not met a Todd since. Do you know any Todds besides the comic strip one you were referring to?
I do know a Todd or two. And the funny thing is, like, I was looking for, like, when I was putting my bank of songs together, I was looking for songs from like Canadian groups. So, you know, Kids in the Hall doing the Daves I Know. And this one was definitely up there because I listened to that first Corky and the Juice Pigs album a lot. Todd is just way too much fun. The song.
All right. Well, you went with Corky and the Juice Pigs. So I'm going to go with a blank and the blank as well. I have really nothing I could tie to Todd except for this. So I'll go with Duncan Reid and the Big Heads, the shortest song in the world, clocking in at 2 seconds from 2017's Bombs Away. Here are the lyrics. 1, 2, 3, 4, stop. I mean, the song literally is 2 seconds long. I'm guessing it'll probably be the shortest song of the evening, but I got to give major props to the fact that they actually did the 4 count into the track. Friggin' brilliant. Bravo. Bravo.
I dare you. The next time Colbert and Company performs a show, this has to be in your set list.
I mean, really, all it is one note saying stop. I mean, I think we could pull it off. Maybe I don't know if we could pull it off. We'd probably all play different notes.
Are you going to play it in G major? Are you going to play it in the proper D minor?
Well, I think I've given you an interesting slate to try to come out of that. So what are you going to come out of? Literally, the song title is longer than the actual song. The shortest song in the world. That took me longer than the actual song to say.
I feel like I kind of have to stick to the 4 count now, just to fit into the next song. Okay. There was a compilation CD that came out around like the mid to late 90s, I think it was, called Short Music for Short People.
Ah, yes.
And this song is the lead-off track off of that compilation album, clocking in at a staggeringly long 9 seconds long. The Fizzy Bangers with a song called Short Attention Span. So it kind of fits in with that as well. Like, very quick, very fast. They have a short attention span. 9 seconds feels like an eternity compared to your 2 seconds, though.
Oh my God. I am so mad that you pulled this one. I had about 7 or 8 songs sitting from, you know what? Screw it. I'm sticking with the album because it's a compilation and there are different bands on there. I could easily go with Green Day, The Ballad of Wilhelm Fink. I could go with Guar's Fish F. I could go with Nerf Herders Doing Laundry. But I think I'm going to go with the Ataris 28 Seconds of Amazingness. The Radio Still Sucks. This song rocks so hard. I have it on several of my punk playlists, and I kid you not, every time I hear it, I always have to go back and play it a second time because I always wished they did a longer version of it. The song just kicks ass. It's a fantastic punk song, and there deserves to be a longer version, but alas, there isn't. And I want to just say how awesome Short Music for Short People is. If you're on a road trip and you want to like have a musical ADD moment for over an hour, there's over 100 songs on it, and every 15 to 20 seconds it's something different, and there are so many interesting and funny and goofy songs on it. It's an all-timer compilation.
And when you think too, like this came out around the time where punk compilations were really at their peak. You had the Fat Music for Fat People compilations. You had the Fat Records compilations. Like, I got to discover so many punk bands from all of those compilations. I think I got like Punk Chartbusters as well, which is a 2-disc set of just all punk covers. Of course, you've also got like the Punk Goes Pop series, the Punk Goes Whatever series. Really, the compilation CDs introduced you to so many different bands, and Short Music for Short People introduced you to basically all of them. It felt like it felt like every band that was ever on any of those compilations, they all got to fit on this one CD. It's the sampler to end all samplers, I feel. I'm gonna lean on you here. I'm gonna cater to your interests.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with a cover song.
You have my attention.
Now, thematically, we're taking a left turn at Albuquerque, because we're stepping away from the punk, but we are going to keep up the tempo here. But I'm going to go with a cover song, but the original of this song lasts 3 minutes and 2 seconds. So that's too long for us. So when you triple the tempo, as Richard Cheese and Lounge Against the Machine did, when they covered Milkshake by Kellis, clocking in at 49 seconds. They covered Milkshake in 49 seconds. The original song is 3 minutes and 2. I looked at every single Richard Cheese album looking for something that would work, because I freaking love Richard Cheese and Lounge Against the Machine. I was hoping Do Me was going to be short enough to fit in, but they carried the joke a little too long and it lasted over a minute. So that's too long for us, because the fact that instead of singing Do Me, he sang Dome, which is hilarious. You can dome in the morning, you can dome in the night, you can dome when you want to dome. No, it's Do Me, not Dome. Do Me. And that's about the tempo that they did Milkshake, probably even a little bit faster. But if you like comedy lounge music, no one does it better than Richard Cheese. Not even that Pat Boone lounge cover, whatever. No one who's done a lounge covers album has done it better than Richard Cheese.
I swear to you, the first time I heard Richard Cheese and the Lounge Against the Machine, I thought it was a Casio keyboard in the background with like one of the songs that you just push the button and you get that drum beat that almost sounds, the Casio keyboard drum sound I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And that first album with Break Stuff and Last Resort, hysterically funny. I love the fact that he's in this mix because I know several people that have actually gone to see them perform live and have said brilliant things about. I've never seen him. He's on my bucket list. But I'm going to stick with the kind of comedic aspect side of what you're going for here. With an artist I am going to go see in 2025 because I grabbed tickets, and that would be Weird Al Yankovic. Now, I could have easily went with Harvey the Wonder Hamster like Patreon mixtaper Philip Bergman chimed in with, but that is 21 seconds long. And I want to save 4 seconds. So I am going to go off of 1989's UHF original motion picture soundtrack and other stuff. Let Me Be Your Hog, clocking in at 17 seconds. During the movie, this is the song that's played when Uncle Harvey's lounging in the pool right before he gets the phone call from Big Louie. And you know what? Considering some of the punk stuff we had on this side, it actually fits in that regard too.
Oh my God. Weird Al Yankovic. Is he in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame yet? Because he should be.
Sadly, he's not.
UHF is one of those rare films that somehow worked. And it's only on the strength of Weird Al Yankovic. Yes, the other performances in there are good too, but really he took his entire persona and turned it into a movie, and it worked. Even with the recent documentary, so quote unquote documentary that was done on Roku starring Daniel Radcliffe as Weird Al Yankovic, it's hilarious because it is exactly what you expect. It's basically a parody of a documentary. And by the way, I looked it up. UHF does not qualify for It's Not That Bad, thankfully, but it's close. It only has a 63% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. So that feels disgustingly low.
Hold on a minute. I'm logging in now to give it a bad rating just so we could talk about it.
Are you going to bomb it just so we can do an episode on that?
I mean, you got to knock it down to lift it back up, right?
Okay, well, while you're at it, make sure you get Transformers the movie, because I think that's sitting at only 60%. So help me out here, because I just want to talk about Transformers the movie. Okay. I need to explain this pick.
Oh, no.
Because you're going to hear the title, and you're going to sit there and go, how the heck did you know that this song existed? So whenever I'm preparing for my weekly mixtape, I do my best and put together a bank of songs that I know will fit into the category, and then you kind of play it like a deck of cards, if you will. And in my search, I was trying to find a song from another Canadian comedy troupe called Three Dead Trolls in a Baggie. Yes, that's the name of the comedy troupe, Three Dead Trolls in a Baggie. They're based out of Alberta. They only have one song on Spotify. Only one. And it's something called the System Administrator Song. And it's on a compilation album called Technobabble. So what this CD is, it's a compilation of songs that are about tech-based things. So Three Dead Trolls in a Baggie doing the System Administrator Song works perfectly for this CD. Unfortunately, that song is too long, and there were no other Three Dead Trolls in a Baggie song. So I did the next best thing. I took a song off of this CD, and it's also pretty damn catchy. But when I say I'm putting Calculator in My Bum on your cassette, I can't believe I'm actually saying these things. This is a song by a group called Worm Quartet, Calculator in My Bum, at 18 seconds long. Oh, dear God, what have I done here?
That's it, folks. Thank you for tuning into my weekly mixtape. There's no going back from here.
Right? But here's the thing. They have enough albums for there can only be one episode. They have albums like Faster Than a Speeding Mullet, carpe tedium. So just, you know how they say never judge a book by its cover? I'm going to judge an artist by their album titles, and I'm actually all in on this. And the stupid thing is that Calculator in My Bum is a catchy song, and it will get stuck in your head. Not in your ass, but it will get stuck in your head.
Oh my God. Oh, well, there goes the PG rating for this show.
And Jason was never asked back again.
You made it to 99 episodes. You got your board shorts, and this is how you repay me?
With a calculator in my bum, yes.
Well, I don't even... What am I supposed to say to that? And I mean, I'm not even saying the name now because I have to say it later. So coming out of that... what better place to go than 1969's Abbey Road and the Beatles' Her Majesty? Because we are going to go from Worm Quartet to the Beatles, and somehow it's going to make sense.
Well, the Beatles are a quartet.
Well, there you have it. Touche, I guess. But 26 Seconds, considered by many to be the first quote-unquote hidden track on an album. I mean... At this point, why not? I'm out.
I've broken Brian with a calculator. This is why we say I didn't think there was going to be math on the test today. Because, yeah. No, I mean, the fact that the Beatles actually have a song that could fit on this mixtape, that's fantastic. I didn't even know this track existed.
Well, I guess there's two similarities between the Beatles and Worm Quartet then.
Actually, thank you for bringing that to my attention, because now I have to go and find that song. How do I wrap this up? Because I don't know where to go from calculator. I don't know.
I had to balance the seesaw there a little bit. And I think the only way coming back from calculator was the Beatles.
Right. Okay. In that case, then I'm going to go with the sentimental pick. And I'm going to go with the song that brought my wife and I together. A really sweet, short song.
Please tell me it's not by Worm Quartet.
It's not by Worm Quartet. If Calculator in My Bum was the song that brought my wife and I together, no. A nice, quiet song at 46 seconds long by Anthrax, Cup of Joe, off of the Volume 8, The Threat Is Real. So let me explain, because to sit there and say a 46-second Anthrax song was the song that brought my wife and I together, let me tell the story, if I may, to your listeners. So we were in broadcasting college together, and I was trying to teach myself how to use the Avid video editing system that was there. So the way I was teaching myself was I would just take a song, toss it in, and try to work on putting visuals over top of it. So at 46 seconds, it's a short song. It's easy to put in because this is back then, and it took a while to ingest all the footage into the system. So I start working away and teaching myself, and she sticks her head in the door, and she's like, "Is that Anthrax?" Now, Cup of Joe is not exactly the most well-known Anthrax song, so I turn around, look at her, and go, "You like Anthrax? Fuck, marry me." Those were the exact words out of my mouth, and 2 years later... called my shot. We're married. Still married to this day. All thanks to Anthrax's Cup of Joe, clocking in at 46 seconds, apparently of destiny.
Well, thank you for bringing us back down to earth after Calculator. And that is a really awesome story. I remember you talking about that on the Anthrax episode of Playlist Wars. But it's kind of full circle because the second song of the night was Stormtroopers of Death. And Cup of Joe is kind of the most SOD song on an Anthrax album that wasn't an SOD cover on the Attack of the Killer Bees album.
Mm-hmm. And it would have fit perfectly in the SOD catalog as well. And, you know, John Bush's growl on it. I mean, it's a song about needing a cup of coffee. So, of course, I'm going to listen to the song. But John Bush added so much to it. I don't know if I could hear Joey Belladonna doing this song. This is definitely a Bush era classic-ish, but classic to me.
Couldn't agree more. And you know what? For when we do the ultimate coffee playlist, we've got that. And like we mentioned at the first song of the night, Descendants Coffee Mug. Even though that wasn't the choice, we definitely have the start of another episode to put a pin in for a future post 100 episodes if people actually continue listening after this one. But there you have it, folks. Side B of the Ultimate Short Songs Mixtape, which consists of John Williams' 20th Century Fox Fanfare, Corky and the Juice Pigs' Todd, Duncan Reed and the Big Heads' The Shortest Song in the World, Fizzy Bangers' Short Attention Span, the Ataris' The Radio Still Sucks, Richard Cheese and Lounge Against the Machine's Milkshake, Weird Al Yankovic's Let Me Be Your Hog. Jason, I'll let you take the next one.
Number 8, Worm Quartet's Calculator in My Bum.
The Beatles' Her Majesty and Anthrax's Cup of Joe. Total runtime, 3 minutes, 49 seconds, bringing tonight's entire playlist runtime to 8 minutes even. You can head to myweeklymixtape.com to hear all the songs we've discussed in this mix through the playlist embedded on the episode page. Now, Jason, why don't you remind listeners where they can connect with you and check out It's Not That Bad and There Can Only Be One?
I don't know if they're going to want to check me out after I drop Calculator in my bum.
I don't know. I mean, you dug this ditch, so now lay in it, I guess.
I know what I've done. I regret nothing. I regret nothing. Okay, if you like talk about movies that are unfairly maligned by critics, you know, kind of like UHF, but we can't talk about UHF because it's too good. Go to social media, Not That Badcast, on all social media platforms. Or if you like listening to people sit there and agonize over only picking one song per album from an artist, you can go check out There Can Only Be One on social media at Only One Cast, or you can have your one-stop shopping experience and go to notthatbadcast.com, where you'll find every single show that comes on. And there's plenty for you there between It's Not That Bad, Keep Watch Pass, Spin Shuffle Skip, There Can Only Be One, and our 3 times a year specials, Grading on a Curve.
Jason, always a pleasure, and hopefully we'll see you on the other side of episode 100.
You're welcome, and I'm so sorry.
Remember, you could find My Weekly Mixtape on almost all the social media haunts at My Weekly Mixtape. You can also head to myweeklymixtape.com to check out the full catalog of My Weekly Mixtape episodes. And if you like what you're hearing on the show, you can help me out by either telling a friend, leaving the show a 5-star review wherever you're tuning in, or becoming a Patreon mixtaper at patreon.com/My Weekly Mixtape. There you can enjoy ad-free episodes of the show, gain access to future My Weekly Mixtape episodes, chime in on upcoming topics, become a future guest, and so much more. That's all for this week. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, enjoy the tunes.